Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see. This is Cheap Comic Collector, and this is episode number 279. Looks like it's going to air on March 20th, and it will drop at noon, just like all the other daily videos that we do, except for Saturdays when we do the live stream and the auction. Or not the auction, I keep calling that. Damn. It's a claim sale. No auctions here. Yeah, Saturdays we do a claim sale. It's $2 a book. It includes shipping in the United States, and basically, we're just doing a claim sale on most of the stuff that we show during the week. These books won't be in it because these were in my what am I reading pile. Basically, any books that we get in that are new, any hauls that we show, those go into the claim sales. But anyway. Enough of that. Today we're doing a what did I read, and I've been spending some time reading through Earth 2 World's End. Wasn't expecting to like it very much, just because I'm not a fan of what they did to Earth 2 with the reboot and all that stuff. I'm not familiar with all the characters. Of course, I recognize Power Girl and Huntress, and it's a different version of Green Lantern, different version of Flash, different version of Superman, different version of Batman, and so nothing I'm too familiar with, but at the same time, slightly familiar with. This is issue number 1, of course. It started in 2014, and I have the first 18 issues. I had to go online and read the rest of the series for this review because I didn't have the whole series. I do have number 26 floating around somewhere in the new boxes from the Comics Den that came in. But I did read the whole series. So I was able to get through it. It wasn't too bad. It was, when it started out, I was much more interested. It's written by Dan Wilson. Okay, this is weird. Story by Daniel Wilson, written by Daniel Wilson, Marguerite Bennett, and Mike Johnson. What's the difference between story and written by? Art by Ardian Syaf, and Sandra Hope, and Danny Miki, and George Jimenez, and Eddie Barrows, and Eber Ferreira, Paolo Sequeira, and Cam Smith. Breakdowns by Scott McDaniels. Wow. All right. So group effort. And it starts out, they're doing a little recap of Earth 2 a little bit, showing where everybody is, Green Lantern and his boyfriend and the Kents and the Waynes and Jay Garrick and the Graysons and so on and so forth. So you get a little one-panel shot of kind of the status quo. And basically the whole storyline is that Apocalypse is attacking the Earth. And of course the heroes are trying to salvage everything, and the things just go to hell really quickly. And I actually liked it more than I thought I would, because it read a little bit like Crisis on Infinite Earths, a little bit like the Great Darkness Saga from Legion of Superheroes, and those are two of my favorite all-time superhero storylines. So it wasn't too bad at first. I was enjoying it. But then it like I said, for the first 2 or 3 issues, I was getting to learn a little bit about the characters and stuff, and Lois Lane trapped in red tornado body is kind of interesting subplot, but they just kind of went overboard with it, where she was like, oh, how am I different from the robots that are killing people? And it's like, well, I mean, come on, Lois Lane's not that stupid, but anyway, it introduces some new versions of characters from Apocalypse and stuff, because this is Earth 2, so I guess it's a different dark side. I've never been real clear on if there's only one dark side or if there's more than that in the multiverse. There's an issue number 2. And after the first few issues, it just kind of starts dragging. It's, yeah, I felt like I could have like skipped 5 issues and still been in the same place kind of on what was going on. But, you know, for a group, such a huge group effort, the artwork is very well done. I didn't, you know, I would have never guessed. And I didn't know, I didn't read that list of creators until just now. So I would have never guessed that this was all the art was, it was such a group effort on the art. Because usually you can see the change in people's styles. And this was pretty much, you know, kind of the same style throughout. And like I said, I enjoyed it. I did read all the way through it. It just kind of bogged down. It seemed like it should have been like maybe a 12-issue series, and not. I think it went 26 issues. But it was you know, it was interesting. It also looked like it coincided some in maybe 1 or 2 of the other Earth 2 titles, which I didn't realize. I thought this just came afterwards. I assumed that because it was World's End, that, you know, Earth 2 and Earth 2 Society came before this, and then this was kind of the wrap up. But it does. There is a couple places where it mentions something happening in one of the other books. So apparently that wasn't the case. And then you know, there's a few places here where it just doesn't make much sense. So. All right, so yeah, this character here is gives birth to some kind of monster from Apocalypse that's going to basically destroy the Earth. And it's kind of weird because, like I said, they make some stupid decisions. The heroes basically protect her because she's going to give birth, and then as soon as she does, they want to destroy what she gave birth to. So it was just like, what? It was some weird things happening. Yeah, I mean, they're different versions than the characters we're used to, so I guess it's excusable that they don't act the same. But like I said, the first few issues were good, and then it just kind of bogged down into the ongoing storyline. There's a yeah, the heroes all have their like own storylines that kind of come together eventually at the end with not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it. Yeah, Jay Garrick wants to abandon being a hero to be with his mom. You know, I guess Green Lantern, the Alan Scott Green Lantern, has been gay for a while. I just I'm put off by that as well, just because yeah, he never used to be. Yeah, he was married in the Golden Age. You know, I don't like changing characters like that. You know, if you want to write characters about stories about gay characters or include gay characters, then create your own characters. You're better off creating your own characters anyway, because then you have, you know, some ownership of them, and you get reimbursed for them. But anyway, that's just the way things are nowadays. And of course, this is a different Earth too, because who knows how many times they rebooted it at this point. So I guess it's okay, because this is a different version of him. Just like, this is Jimmy Olsen. It's just kind of, it's kind of out there compared to you can't really read it and remember the Earth 2 of old or the JSA or anything, because it's just not the same. So when you read it like that, it's not that bad, but it does drag on for a while. I mean, some of the heroes, Batman, Power Girl and stuff, go underground because somebody down there the Sods down there building robot armies or something. And that every issue they're just still descending down the tunnel, and it kind of drags on for a bit. Like I said, I felt like you could skip about 4 or 5 issues and still in the middle and still know exactly what was going on when you came back. So I like this character design. I forget who this is, because despite them featuring her on the cover, they don't really do anything with her on the inside. I'm not going to go plot by plot point through this whole thing, because mostly because I don't remember most of it. It just kept plodding on. And like I said, the art's really well done. And after all this time, everybody thinking Superman's dead, they find him alive. Eventually, in a couple more issues. But yeah, so this character is featured on the cover, and then basically barely in a background panel on the inside. I don't remember who she is. I think it might tell in this one. Oh, there's where they find Superman. Almost dead. He doesn't have his powers anymore, so they have to protect him. And like I said, not a terrible series, really. But if you approach it, I mean, look at that cover. That's a great cover. But if you approach it from the perspective of having read comics for years, and about the original Earth 2 and stuff, it's just, you're like, what the heck is this? Huntress gets turned into a Fury of Apocalypse, one of the female Furies, at one point. You very much have to consider it an alternate Earth story, almost an alternate, almost an Elseworld story. Really, it should be an Elseworld story, if anything. But I think they stopped doing Elseworld stories by this time. I never understood why, like when they had Crisis and they did All-Star Squadron, why they didn't just continue with the Earth 2 storylines as a separate little line. All they had to do was put like DC Comics and have an Earth 2 banner, underneath it, or like it says Earth 2 here, and then everybody would know that it's not the main DC universe, and everything would have been fine. It's just I don't see why they had to ruin. They ruined All-Star Squadron. They ruined Legion because they had to change everything. Where Superboy was no longer the inspiration for the start of the Legion. That's the whole reason they exist in the first place. It ruined too much. I mean, I loved Crisis as a storyline. It was fantastic. And then after that was the other thing too. After having awesome covers like these, then they go to this. It's like, what the hell is this? I wouldn't even give this a second glance if it was sitting on a newsstand. I mean, who is that supposed to appeal to? Just too artsy. You know, somebody wants to be too artsy. You're not creating a piece for a museum. You're trying to sell comic books. You know, but like I said, overall, it wasn't that bad. It just you had to look at it as it's just its own story, and that's it. But of course, you know, they had Huntress and Power Girl in on Earth 1, I guess, if you want to call it that, the main DC Earth, and then they crossed back over to Earth 2, so they made it all regular continuity instead of just telling a story. And they could have done as many, alternate versions of as many characters as they wanted to, but no, they had to try to tie it into everything else. So then, eventually what happens is they Apocalypse wins, basically. The heroes don't exactly get defeated. Most of them are either on the planet when it gets destroyed, or on a spaceship. There's spaceships out there with some of the characters on them. They saved a whole bunch of humans, humanity. They saved like 100,000 or something. I don't remember the number. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's like 1 million or something. But eventually Apocalypse does win. It destroys the Earth. Darkseid wins, and then it in the very last issue, which I glanced at before I did this because I couldn't remember what happened. It leads into the planet gets destroyed, and then it leads into Convergence, which I've already read Convergence. I didn't like it very much. I thought it was the stupidest crossover that they've ever done. There was some good stories in the mini series, but the main series was just kind of silly. But eventually, if I remember right in that story, so they get transported to the planet, but they don't have a city, and that kind of kicks off Convergence, and then I think at the end of Convergence, they all head to a new planet or something like that, and that's hopefully the last anybody ever saw of them. I don't know how it happened after that, but like I said, this would have been. It would have been fine if it was just its own separate storyline, instead of trying to put it into continuity, force it into continuity, is what they're doing. And eventually they did get over those stupid covers and go back to some decent covers here. And that's pretty much my thoughts on the whole thing. It's like I said, the art's great. The story was okay. but it dragged on and it just kept going, you know. They kind of introduced all the characters at the get-go and then just kept going with them. There wasn't any new character introductions, really. There wasn't any permanent changes to the characters' status quos. There was just... It is what it is. Yeah. And it was all right, but it I don't know. It just seems like they could have... It seems like they could have told the same story with other characters or just made up their own characters. So those are the 18 issues that I've got. Like I said, I read the other ones online, and it just kind of kept going. But it you know, it took me a couple of weeks to plod through them. I didn't read them. I read a few issues here and there when I felt like it and didn't fall asleep. So, and that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts. Don't know how you guys felt about it. If you've read it, let me know what you thought about it. Like I said, the art's pretty awesome on it. Got some great covers. But other than that, I wasn't too impressed. It just felt like they could have gone in a better direction. And then, yeah, and then to find out at the end it tied into Convergence, which I didn't like. If I'd have known that going in, I might not have even read the story. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to continue on with the Comics Den stuff. We'll be continuing on Box 2, Part 3 of the books I got from Comics Den. So tune in for that, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.